For the last year, our cameras have had special access to one of Britain's largest cancer centres.
Good morning, Velindre Hospital. Can I help you?
We've seen the life-changing challenges faced by patients and their families.
It's been a bit of a worry for you and mine, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And the passion and expertise of the army of dedicated staff.
There's something unique about working in Velindre.
And that makes this a pioneering, world-class facility.
Velindre is one of the leading lights in the world for oncology and for palliative care.
From heartbreak...
Come on, then.
...to hope.
You have to go to a diet like the rest of us.
This is the story of a place where few of us in Wales would choose to spend time.
I'd quite happily be famous for anything else, really, than being a very positive, ill person.
And yet it really is one of our national treasures.
This is a miracle place.
Yeah.
You can feel the hope within the walls.
If you have cancer, being a single parent is an added complication, but it's also a blessing.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
This is our video diary. Hello, Clara.
Oh, hello.
Being a mum with cancer is scary because there's so much at stake.
2 years ago, doctors told Rebecca from Tredegar that they couldn't cure her abdominal cancer.
I was 41, I had 2 children, I had everything to live for, everything to fight for. There was definitely too much to lose to just lay down and roll over. You know, it works 2 ways. It's my biggest fear, but it's also my biggest source of strength too, if that makes sense.
I'm happy with that.
You got me in the back.
It's just dangerous.
Incurable and terminal seem like the same thing, and it's important to understand that they are 2 completely different things altogether.
Double doggy dare you?
A double dog day. Incurable means that they may not ever be able to get rid of it, but that, you know, you may be able to carry on your normal life with treatment to sort of keep things at bay for quite a long period of time.
Rebecca Cooksey, please, to be weighed. Hello, you all right?
Staying strong enough to cope with repeated doses of chemotherapy is a real challenge for Rebecca.
This is the one place where it's good to weigh more, isn't it? Get rewarded.
76.8.
As women, we're normally thinking about watching our calories, but now it's like pile on the calories, as many as possible. And when you just don't feel like eating, that's so difficult.
All right.
I've had every experience, you know, I've come here and had a chemo that didn't work, and that was, you know, obviously quite disappointing then, especially when you felt it was going well. And then I've had the opposite when we've come in after the chemo's changed and we've had positive scan results that everything's responding, and, you know, that's still the path that we're on at the moment.
Rebecca? Yeah.
That's my birthday, so I'm going to get it.
Oh, it's your birthday today?
It is indeed, 43
Ready?
today.
Here we go. Happy birthday. What's your address?
Rebecca has brought a little thank you for her consultant and the team.
I thought, as it was my birthday, I'd bring it back. I'm 43 today, Doctor.
Today? That's,
Yeah.
You're going to clinic on your birthday? That's so unfair, isn't it? You should have told us.
Rebecca has always been very open about her diagnosis. She knows ultimately we're not going to be able to cure this, but she's had an amazingly sort of get out there and go attitude. And I think even if we can't cure her, we can give her some treatment, we can make things worthwhile for her and treat her properly. I think that is definitely worthwhile for me. Tiredness is probably part of the course.
Yeah.
And I think we just have to take each cycle as it comes, and
Well,
if you
I
don't get all the
remember-
doses, that's fine, don't worry about it. So you've been on chemo on and off since January, haven't you?
Yeah.
So if you do need a break or whatever, then let us know and then we'll...
Yeah, because people keep saying, how many more do you have? And I find it hard then to sort of for them to get their head around the fact that this is like an ongoing process with no real...
Every time I meet her, however hard the consultation is, I come out actually sort of feeling more positive myself.
Keep doing it.
She genuinely is absolutely inspiring, and, you know, it has been an absolute privilege to look after her.
And don't forget to take the cakes
and
take the
cakes.
Share them out.
I'll take care of you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks a lot, Doctor.
Yeah,
I'd quite happily be famous for anything else, really, than being a very positive, ill person. But if that's the way it is, that is the way it is. I'm still here. I'm still fighting. This is still very much ongoing, and you never give up hope. Put the lipstick on, put the dress on, and we go again. That's what we do.
More than 700 people work at Velindre, providing services to 1.5 million citizens across South East Wales and beyond. Each year, staff here welcome 5,000 new referrals and 50,000 outpatients. Like any large hospital, there are nurses and porters, domestics and admin staff. But because this is a specialist cancer centre, there are also those who have unique expertise in disciplines like radiotherapy and chemotherapy. And there are trained counsellors who help support patients in dealing with the psychological impact of being diagnosed with a life-threatening disease.
My name is Melanie, and my role is anal cancer clinical nurse specialist. There's a lot of stigma associated with anal cancer, simply for the fact of where it is. You know, it's on your bottom. People joke about bottoms. So it you know, quite funny to people. But if you've got anal cancer, then it's not funny at all. When they first come to see us here at Velindre, they're quite shocked that they've got that diagnosis.
I think we're at the right place.
And a lot of people actually didn't realise that you could get anal cancer. They'd not really heard of it, and people were very shocked about it.
That's okay.
Right.
Right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
OK, we're this way. OK.
Pauline has recently been diagnosed with this rare form of cancer. And like many new patients, she's faced some difficulties in sharing the news with friends and family.
For other cancer sites, say breast cancer, everybody knows about that.
They're all
They
about
talk
prostate
about
cancer,
it.
it's out in the open, it's out there.
And this is sort of a bit like a last taboo, isn't it? And people are not aware of it. And because of where it is. You know.
Everyone's got a backside, haven't they?
Yes, that's true. Absolutely true. Yeah.
Yeah. For goodness sake.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
true.
oh.
The stigma surrounding anal cancer is often made worse by prejudice about the virus which can cause the disease.
HPV virus is human papilloma virus. Most of us will contract this virus at some point in our lives. It's not associated with being promiscuous.
When you Google it, that's the first thing that comes up.
We're all exposed to this virus. So my job really is to allay those kind of fears. All sorts of things go through their minds. So it's allaying the fears with the patients. We see a lot of patients here with anal cancer, and the majority of them, from my experience, do well.
Yeah,
okay.
Right.
So you've got lots of support, and that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. You've obviously got a very supportive husband.
Yeah.
You know, trying to live as normal life as possible.
Walk the
whilst
dog
you're-
and
Yeah.
carry on. Yeah. Glass of wine?
Yes, you can have a glass of wine.
We're okay then. We're ready to go.
Rebecca's celebrations are strictly non-alcoholic these days.
Cheers.
But the repeated doses of chemotherapy take their toll all the same.
So here we are, day after my 43rd birthday. Not feeling fantastic today, if I'm honest. I really dread the constant feeling ill and the knowing that I can write off another 2 weeks of my life to sickness and bed rest and diarrhea and all the other indignities that go along with it. And my hair is falling out again, which is a bit of a surprise as I haven't had treatment for a couple of weeks. But yeah, I can actually pull it, and there you are. There's a nice handful of my hair, which is happening quite frequently at the moment.
One thing that's kept her going through 2 years of ups and downs is the closeness she has with her children.
Hello, my name is Clara and I am the daughter of Rebecca, who is a star of this documentary. Me and my mum are really, really close. Whenever, say, an obstacle has come our way, we can always work together to get past it.
Clara's love and concern for her mother led her to make an extraordinarily brave gesture of support.
I made a big decision that I would shave my head for my mum and to raise awareness and money for cancer research in Macmillan. I never actually imagined I would go through with it, and here I am with this. And it's been kind of different, but I don't necessarily miss having long hair. I like just jumping out of the shower, patting it with a towel, and I don't have to do anything else. And I raised over £5,000.
I've spoken to the children many times and I say, just because I'm ill, it doesn't mean that my cancer's getting worse. This is just the side effects of the chemo, which is making me better. Sometimes it's important to get that message across because it can seem quite scary. Having the 2 children, they constantly take your mind off it. They're always my source of strength. They always cheer me up. They just make me laugh.
Cheers. Cheers.
Arriving at Velindre for a minor operation today is Pauline, who's recently been diagnosed with anal cancer. It's a rare condition that requires prolonged treatment.
Hello, good morning.
I'm Jeanette, and I'm the nurse who's going to be placing your PICC line today.
Okay.
We've got Joel.
A PICC line is a long, thin catheter which is fed into the vein in the arm and runs up to a larger vein in the chest.
And then I need you to squeeze his hand as hard as you can.
Ow.
Don't need to really, I just like that. Okay, you may feel a little bit of pressure now.
The PICC line will stay in place for several months so that repeated doses of powerful intravenous drugs can be given easily. Pauline will even be able to give herself top-ups at home.
It's weird.
Meanwhile, the drugs that will be fed into Pauline's PICC line are being prepared over in the pharmacy at Velindre.
This is where we make all of the IV chemotherapy, which is given to the patients here at Velindre and in our outreach clinics as well. It's of absolute paramount importance that everything is spotlessly clean from any sort of contamination.
The raw materials arriving here from the drug companies are sterilised one final time in an airtight cabinet before the doses are made up to match a patient's precise needs.
This will give John all of the instructions on how to make the product, and now we're going to make all the checks of the batch numbers and expiry dates of everything that we've got in there. This is IV chemotherapy that's going to be delivered straight to a patient who is very much at risk from infection because of the chemotherapy treatment that they're having. So if any sort of bugs or nasties were to get into the product that we're making, there's a very high risk of making a patient ill and causing some real problems.
Under the NHS, Pauline's treatment is free of charge, but the drugs she'll need don't come cheap.
The costs can vary widely. I mean, you hear about drug costs a lot in the news and what have you. Some of the more modern treatments, this one, for example, I dare say could be £4,500–5,000 worth of drugs in that tray alone, just for a single dose. It's all really to do with the research that goes into producing these more modern drugs. And when they first come to market, the drug companies behind them need to recoup a lot of money from the research that's gone into producing them. So to begin with, especially when they're under license in the early stages, you get these very high costs. Some patients don't realise, you know, it's literally tens of thousands of pounds in treatment for a certain, you know, dose of chemotherapy. And yeah, it's absolutely magnificent, I think, that in this country we can offer that to everybody.
With her new PICC line safely in place, Pauline is all set to begin her course of chemotherapy.
And I just sit here, squeezing it until it's all gone.
So how long have you been doing this?
Working here qualified about 27 years.
Oh.
In Velindre. Yeah, just that, so I'm getting there.
I'm quite reassured.
Yeah,
You know, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's not your first time then.
Yes.
It's just the name, isn't it? Chemotherapy.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a frightener, isn't it?
Yeah. I think most people, when they come in for the first one, it's what they imagine is worse.
Yes.
And rather than spend the next 4 days on a drip in a hospital bed, Pauline can head home and administer the rest of the dose herself through her PICC line.
Excellent. Everyone will want one.
I didn't expect chemo to be like that.
No.
I don't know what I expected.
It was quite straightforward, really, wasn't it?
A lot more straightforward than I thought it was going to be.
Velindre staff also give patients chemotherapy at local satellite clinics close to their homes, like this one at Prince Charles Hospital in Merthyr Tydfil. Rebecca loves the atmosphere here.
They're just so down to earth and friendly. I mean, it's really not a doom and gloom place at all. There's a lot of laughter and banter goes on, and it makes the process a lot more bearable.
Rebecca knows that her abdominal cancer can't be cured.
That's how bad it gets when platelets are low, isn't it?
But for the last 2 years, repeated doses of chemo have been keeping it in check.
In my little mental deals that I do with myself, I just keep thinking, you know, like, even if I could, I could at least last until I was 50, like, I think, oh, yeah, well, that's like 7 years. Alfie would be 22, Clara would be 18, you know, they'd be adults. There's still plenty of hope as far as I'm concerned, and I'm still fit and well enough to enjoy life with my children. At least I'm prepared. I've had to put a bit more thought into it than your average 43-year-old.
Back at the main cancer centre at Velindre, Pauline has begun the other type of treatment she needs, radiotherapy.
Pauline Doody, come on through.
There's no doubt it's a demanding regime that she's facing.
Although I know the treatment's good for me, the treatment is hard going. You lie in the bed and you don't even feel anything. It's afterwards, a few days afterwards, you suddenly realise your body's changing. And that's really strange, because you can't see what's happening to you.
All ready to go now, Pauline, nice and still, and just breathe normally, OK?
High-energy rays are being targeted on the cancer cells in Pauline's body. But normal cells can also be damaged.
The machine moves in a constant arc around her, which allows us to give us a really high dose to her tumour while trying to shield the sensitive structures around where we're treating. So she'll have one treatment arc that travels in this direction, and then it'll travel again round in this direction.
Pauline's particular case requires both radiotherapy and drugs.
Anal cancers are a rare cancer, but we look to cure these, and we cure them with a combination of radiotherapy and chemo. I think the biggest challenge we face here in South Wales is that patients present too late. And we know that patient survival is lower here than a lot of places in Europe. And probably the key to that is not actually our treatments, but the fact that patients present so much later. They ignore their signs before they go to their GPs.
Treating anal cancer is taxing for the patient, but Velindre sees many positive outcomes.
It's a delicate area. So again, we put the patients through quite a lot of stress. But they come through the other end and, you know, we see that these tumours literally melt away with radiotherapy and chemo.
OK.
I've got to look forward to the end of this treatment and having my life back. To be me again, not relying on Velindre, not relying on machines, just me. But I've got the future to look forward to, and I'm not looking back, I'm only going to look forward. Without hope, what is there? Without hope, I'd be dead. Without hope, there's nothing.
Hope is what Velindre offers, not certainty, because an all-embracing cure for cancer remains a dream. But hope fueled by the dedicated expertise of the staff and the very latest in technology and medicine.
I feel very proud of what we've achieved in Velindre. You know, when you see a patient 5 years down the line and they're now cured and you can discharge them from clinic, that's obviously a great feeling.
It's really wonderful that the NHS can offer these sort of drugs to everybody, you know, giving everyone access to these treatments that otherwise they quite simply wouldn't be able to afford.
But to give the drugs every chance, the doctors need to see patients as early as possible.
The key message is to, you know, if you have any signs that are suggestive of any type of cancer, to speak to your GP ASAP.
Me and my mum, we've always shared a lot of interests.
We do everything together, don't we?
Literally everything. It really helps being a good team, and we can always count on our close relationships together to get through any problems we have.
It's quite freeing in a way, because all the worst things that you worried about happening kind of happened, and then it's like, I'm still here, you know, it's still going on, so let's just crack on.
Next time, Kevin deals with major surgery.
Kev, come on, show me your scar.
No!
Come on, show me. Come on.
Life is so precious. You don't really realise it until you think it's going to be taken away.
And Alison keeps her hopes alive for a big summer celebration.
I think I'm more excited about the dress because it's the first time I've worn anything like this.
Absolutely stunning.